Those what's he say?
I think he just said like Ray or something.
Ray,
like that.
you know the answer to this. Oh, come on, Ray.
Yeah. It was good though. It was.
And then Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, at the very end.
There's a post credit, then there's a post.
Yeah, I just found the post credit today.
Where he takes it back to the garage.
Yeah.
Beep, beep, beep. The fucking panel.
I saw that. I watched it.
Good.
We got home. My daughter wanted to watch it. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I watched it with her, and then I was getting dinner ready, and that was playing in the background. And I walk in the living room, and you see Winston sitting there at the desk. I was like, what the hell's this? So I stopped and watched it.
Because what's her name? The secretary.
Or Janine.
Janine.
Annie Potts is her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's sitting there talking and whatever they were.
You've made it for finance. You've done really. You still paying raise rent? Yep.
Yeah, it'll turn a profit someday.
Yeah.
But yes, I just saw the post credit scene. Ghostbusters Afterlife for everybody, because we just turned this on halfway through this conversation.
Yeah.
I just saw the post credit scene about an hour and a half ago, actually.
It's funny. The first time I watched the movie, I'm like, "There's got to be a post-credit scene." I'm like, "I see it."
I know the first one. Yeah.
I'm like, "Wait a minute."
Which I like that. That was good. I'm like, yeah, it's right from the beginning of the first one.
And it's like
There's a
3 squiggly lines. Correct. This one, God, 5-point star. You marked the cars, didn't you? Only the guys for science. I realize that now. It still works. She's all excited.
It just takes you right back to the.
But that was cool though. Like the whole movie, I'm like, come on, they got to put Sigourney Weaver in here. Of all the people, she's the last person.
I think I remember her when I, like a year or two ago, when I heard about them doing the movie, I heard that Sigourney Weaver had signed on, but for a minor role. So I knew it wasn't going to be anything big. And when I didn't see her through the whole movie, it's like, it's got to be the post-credit scene. Because I knew she was going to be in it. And then sure enough, it was a post-credit scene, which is good enough, you know.
Yeah. But
the only one I really wish I'd saw was...
I'm fucking realizing... I'm fucking not touching it.
Rick Moranis. Well, now that you're...
Yeah. Well, that was emotional.
No. You're talking about Harold Ramis. Rick Moranis.
Yeah, Rick Moranis would have been nice. But he's done.
Yeah,
he won't
done.
act.
And he did the whole single father thing.
Which good for him, man.
Yeah, all power to him, and not taking anything away from him for not being in the movie. But, I mean, for any Ghostbuster fan out there, if we saw...
Rick Moranis.
Yeah, if we saw him there, I'd be like...
Moranis, however you want to pronounce it.
According to this, his name is Louis Tully.
Yeah.
You want some coffee, Mr. Tully? Do I? Yes, have some. Yes, have some.
Oh, I heard your TV was on really loud, so I just turned my TV up. This way people would think there was something wrong with both.
Bye, Louis.
Okay, I'll see you later.
I'm going to go have a shower.
Oh, no, the party. Guys, let me in.
That guy's awesome. All his movies. Even Honey, I Shrunk the Kid. Even Honey, I Blew Up the Kid was good.
Little Giants.
Little Giants is awesome.
Yep, with Al Bundy. I don't know his real name.
It was, Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill, yep.
Yeah. I was going to say Neil Patrick Harris. I was like, no, that's your boyfriend there. I don't know.
Hell yeah. I love Neil. Who doesn't like NPH? Come on, man.
Ed O'Neill. I don't really care. Never really did. I didn't like Doogie Howser.
I didn't watch Doogie. Doogie Howser is what made him famous. I never watched it.
He's one of those rare childhood...
That actually, didn't get addicted to drugs and drive his
Well, I don't know about that, but they did make it out of the childhood thing. And and then there's, Macaulay Culkin. Which he's actually doing better, I guess.
Yeah. Ever since his appearance on Cinemassacre.
He was on
Angry Video Game Nerd.
Yeah.
He plays the pizza delivery guy.
Yeah. That was good. I can't... I think they played Home Alone.
All the Home Alone games.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that. I haven't watched that one in a while. Actually, I haven't watched any Video Game Nerd in a while.
I don't watch as much as I used to, but I always make sure on the weekends I grab a few videos.
It's
Vanoss, Cinemassacre.
I don't watch Vanoss at all.
Tosh.0, Epic Rap Battles. I try to grab a few.
I know. I still like every now and again turning on the old seasons of AVGN back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, around then. Because they were so good. They were it's because they were so raw. I appreciate really raw, low quality things, and like that's like horror movies, everything, because that's when you like the creativity really comes out, because you don't have all the money to really play with. It's like, I'm gonna upgrade everything, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like, of course, if anyone, including myself, is like, oh, you got a ton of money now you can upgrade everything.
Well,
like,
where's the
soundboard would be better, like everything would be better, but the raw just creativity that comes along with just working
from
with
the
what
origins?
you got. Yeah, work with what you got and make the best of it. Paul Heyman said it best back in the old ECW days, like, accentuate the positive, hide the negative. And that's what he did, and he became the third biggest company. He's like, you know.
Yeah. I know who Paul Heyman is, so that says something.
Paulie Dangerously.
No, but they left it off with such a nice cliffhanger to make a sequel.
Oh, Ghostbusters,
A fourth.
Which makes it makes you wonder.
Harold, what was his name?
Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis, yes.
But it makes you, with the blinking light, was that power on, or was that like malfunction? Like, how the?
Well, so okay.
I think it symbolized power on, like they turning on the franchise again. That's what I think it was. Could be just interpretation.
Yeah, if you want to talk on a metaphorical stance, like a hidden, like a subliminal message.
Isn't that what they do with all these post-credit scenes? They just give you a hint and be like,
It's more like an Easter egg or a teaser trailer, a little teaser tidbit.
Right.
You know, for me, who was the bad guy in Ghostbusters 2? Don't tell me. Oh, God, he was the painting. What the fuck was his name?
Should I tell him? Yeah. It's like Blue's Clues. Loading. Vigo.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, you know what? I wanted to say Viggo Mortensen. No, that's the actor.
The Carpathian.
Viggo the Carpathian, yes.
Yeah.
I saw...
I am Vigo. I can't even remember the whole.
When I saw the blinking box, I'm like, uh-oh.
It's like the video game.
Now, let's say they made a sequel. How fucking badass would it be if the pencil dick guy from the first one,
Walter Peck?
Yeah, Walter Peck.
Yeah.
How awesome would it be if he came in?
Is this true?
I thought I shut this down.
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick. Well, that's what I heard. I can't remember the actor's name, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But that would be awesome if you...
He already reprised his role in the video game that came out with in PS3.
Yeah, I remember that.
But so did he voiced him.
Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, they all did.
Harold Ramis was there for that one.
Annie Potts. That was it for the original.
What was Winston's real name? Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson, yeah.
Yep.
That was it for the original cast, because they didn't have Sigourney Weaver in it.
Nope.
Yeah, it was just those 6. Right.
Still good, though.
The game?
Yeah.
The game was awesome. The game was really what, I guess, the original idea, what the third movie was supposed to be with the original Ghostbusters.
Bringing in a new recruit.
It was, well, not so much the new recruit. The original idea was, Dan Aykroyd said, basically, Ghostbusters go to hell in another dimension. And that's what it was throughout the storyline. When they go to the public library.
It's been a while since I played the game. I forgot.
When they go to the public library, they open a dimensional portal and they go through, which is symbolically hell. And then later in the game, at the end of the game, when they face Ivo Shandor,
yep,
they're back in that same dimension.
Which,
yeah, Ivo Shandor's in it. Yeah.
I have prepared. We've been awaiting your return. Well, that's a fine how do you do. I said, that's a fine how do you do.
But, yeah, the video game was what the third movie was basically supposed to be. At least it was roughly designed around it. And I thought the idea would have been awesome. And then I think I put it as a Facebook post. And I'm like, you want to know how to keep the Ghostbusters franchise alive forever? I mean, not that it's not going to be now, or at least for a long time.
Yeah.
Is the Ghostbusters get injected into every horror movie ever.
Oh, God.
And that's how they deal with all of it. All the Conjuring series, throw in the Ghostbusters. Like, I am 110% on board. It's like, yeah, I want to see
Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
See you on the other side, Ray. See you on the other side.
Nice work with you, Dr. Fine going, let's cross the streams. I was like, just fan fiction, I think that would be fantastic. I'd be so... Jaws? Fuck them! Sushi!
What about Ghostbusters? Back to Ghostbusters. Yeah, you were kind of humpy. I heard that.
Turned into a dog. Yeah, and then he got kind of humpy.
I heard that, and that instantly took me back. I was like, oh, when you're a kid and you learn what the word humping means,
Yeah.
it's like... Here I am, 37 fucking years old.
You
like,
got kind of humpy.
You got kind of humpy. I'm like, I giggled. I'm not gonna lie, I fucking giggled.
It was a really good. It was a love letter to the original two, not 2016.
No,
although I did buy 2016.
Yeah, I've yet to see that.
It's if you took Ghostbusters, the name and the theme out of it, it would be a very generic 2010s comedy.
Yeah,
like nothing special. It would be like just name any generic comedy from the 2000s and 2010s.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
No, that's better. Like The New Guy. Take that for example.
Oh,
like,
not another teen movie.
Yeah,
The
just
New
like
Guy.
a movie like that. You watch it once, you're like, all right, it's got funny-ish parts.
Yeah, it's got funny moments.
But then you'll forget about it.
Yeah.
Like the only reason you can still talk about Ghostbusters 2016 is because of the name. You throw in proton packs and stuff like that, and okay, it's got proton packs, but it's nothing to write
real
home
quick,
about.
Before we do eventually,
I was able to buy it off Amazon for like $5. I think that might have been this was like change with shipping.
Real quick, because if we do transition off of the Ghostbusters soon, you didn't get a little choked up with Harold Ramis and Ghostbusters.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh,
absolutely! Like
I saw
tears welled up. Like
I saw the hand. The minute the shop, everything started happening. Directing the which Phoebes. I'm not gonna lie. For the first 10 minutes of her,
thought it was a boy.
Yeah, I was like, Phoebes. Why are they calling that boy a Phoebes?
Yeah.
I'm like, that must be a nickname.
No, I knew it was a girl, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's a girl. Oops.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I knew it was Harold Ramis, but I did not expect to see Ghost.
The CG was great.
Great, yes.
Yeah, whoever, I can't remember, it was a guy that got to play him, and they just altered his face somewhat.
They CG'd his face, yeah.
And boy, was it on.
Oh,
they're getting so good with that.
All three of them. I miss you, man.
Oh, it was so good.
That whole
what a tug at heartstrings. Talk about there was two perspectives I got coming out of the movie. One, Amanda told me, but there was a Ghostbuster fan perspective. Is like, wow, seeing the four of them together, basically one last time as like a salute, like thank you.
And it literally said for Harold.
And yeah, and then at the end of Amanda, who lost her mother, she's like, any person like in her situation who had lost somebody like that, that's all they'd ever want is like one last chance to hug them. And like she said that, I was like, yeah, wow. And like it was kind of a double just whammo. It was so good. But yeah, going beyond that, like that deep stuff, just watching the four of them together, and it was Egon holding Phoebe's hands steady, but at the same time, it was watching all four of them like throwing their streams at the same. It was like, man, it's a callback right to the first Ghostbusters shooting the proton streams at
the State Puff
Gozer
first.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, wow. Like it was so good. If you haven't seen it, we've just fucking completely ruined it for you.
Doesn't matter. You will actually be disappointed if you don't watch it. If you think, oh, I know the whole movie now because
I'm gonna put a spoiler alert like right at the beginning. This is one of those rare times I'm actually gonna do a tad bit of editing. But I'm gonna put a spoiler alert right before or at the beginning of this conversation.
If you haven't seen it, don't watch it.
And I'll have to put a time signature or something and like
skip to this time.
Yeah. But boy, do yourself a favor,
please,
and watch it. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, like I don't think there's any way you haven't seen it yet. But if you haven't, you gotta watch it. It was. Actually, that's the first movie that we. No, that's not true. Godzilla King of the Monsters. That was the first movie we went and saw in theaters with my daughter. But this is the second one we went and saw in theaters.
Hotel Transylvania 3. You have to bleep that, please.
Well, no, there was.
Wait, what was it? I don't remember.
There was a movie that played with Godzilla. It was Pets 2 or something.
Oh, the drive-ins.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was. But
I don't really count that as going to the movie theater.
There was that. And yeah, anyway, then Ghostbusters. Then like a month later, we went and saw Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yet to see that.
My daughter saw it, and you still haven't seen it.
I'm actually ashamed.
You should be ashamed.
I am ashamed.
So my daughter was trying to climb the wall like Spider-Man halfway through the movie.
Sweetie, can you get
Will
down?
you get down? It's like Reagan from Exorcist. She's spider walking across the ceiling.
Exorcism.
What did I tell you about that?
Will you stop being fucking possessed already? God, now I have to wash the ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Ghostbusters was good.
Yeah,
it was pretty
it
good.
was, man. Oh.
Yeah, the ending was great. I thought I liked the cast. I thought the cast is really good.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd is great.
Paul Rudd is Paul Rudd.
He shows like all the kids.
So we're gonna watch. Your school still has VHS. All right.
Oh, what the hell did he watch?
Cujo.
Was it Cujo?
Cujo was the first one.
I get that confused.
There's a movie out there, but
confused with what's the other one with the robotic dog? Cujo is the one with rabies, but there's one Man's Best Friend, I think it was.
Man's Best Friend, yes.
Yeah, they had the android dog there, whatever it was, the bio dog. Mm-hmm. I always get those two confused. But yeah, that was Cujo.
He's sitting there. There's a bloodthirsty animal movie playing in the other room when Phoebes walks in and sees him looking at the mapping and stuff. That was good.
Yeah.
Oh, so a school with VHS. Okay. And talk about a fuck you to fucking rural Americas. The towns that never move forward. So he saw those.
Most of these kids in here aren't that bright. There was. I mean, we talk about a lot of politics, and as much like I love the movie, don't get me wrong, but there were some digs that were like, this is kind of a leftist take on. There was a one where talking about it's like most of the kids in that rural America, most of the kids there aren't that bright, and then when they're in the police station. And they were looking for the proton pack and the trap. And podcast goes to Phoebes like, oh, you find anything? And she dumps out a box with all the guns. She's like, no, just a bunch of stupid guns.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, there's kind
now that you mention it,
there's kind of some lefty takes in there, but I'm like, whatever. I'm fucking Ghostbusters.
I don't know. Maybe I was just so... Because I fucking love the Ghostbusters movie.
So do I.
My surprise 30th.
It doesn't take away anything from the Ghostbusters. But some quirky things I noticed.
My surprise 30th was a Ghostbusters themed party, which was how many people can say that? What was your surprise 30th birthday party? Surprise 30th birthday party. Oh, I just got fucking wasted and hammered and shit faced and went partying. I pulled up on
the Ecto 1 birthday cake.
I pulled up on a motorcycle with leather vest and a fucking 1984 Ghostbusters themed birthday cake.
Awesome.
It was fucking great. I'm not gonna lie. Thank you.
I actually met a guy. I was when I was at work.
We should get matched with Ghostbusters tattoos.
Someone.
So that's a yes.
Someone. If you didn't do this one. I'd had like the same style, like circular tattoo on this side. I should put it there. But someone showed up at the school the other day to pick up their kid, and I can't remember how. I was talking to one of the guys I work with, something about Ghostbusters. Oh, the Proton pack I modded and sold. And then he overheard us. He's like, oh, yeah, I got a picture here of the Proton pack. And he's decked out. And he's like, I got stuff that... he actually does his car. He's got like magnets or something. He puts like the ghost things. He's a ghost head.
Oh, okay.
And he showed me a picture of like him all decked out, and I showed him the picture of like all of us all decked out for Halloween a few years back. And we got talking about that. I was like, wow, there's a ghost head. Like I thought I was the only one. I was like, but he's like all decked out and like he's got the flight suit, like the movie legit flight suit like I have, and like the custom patch like I got.
Yep.
And he pre-ordered the what's it, Hasbro Proton pack that came out from the Afterlife, the one you can actually
size.
take apart.
Scale.
Yeah, it's a 1-to-1 scale, and the one
Yeah.
you can take the cyclotron off the bottom round piece of the
Yep.
pack itself, and it's got like the inner workings like in the movie.
I like how they actually showed that too.
Yeah, they showed it, and then also
Just putting it back together.
what they did. If you go by, this turned into a Ghostbuster podcast, but if you go by, like designs of it from Ray, they elaborated further on the pack from what he had already designed back in 1984, like how it actually worked. Because Dan Aykroyd's like a pseudoscience and like a geek when it comes to this kind of stuff. He's like the crystal skulls and all this kind of stuff. Like he's into theories, string theory, and what's the word I'm looking for? Like particle physics and things like that. But he's into all that, like different dimensions, aliens and all that kind of stuff, like pseudoscience, stuff like that, cryptology. So he when he designed the packs, he didn't just like have something that looked aesthetic and be like, oh, this creates this. He tried to design it where it would make some kind of logical sense, like in how it worked, like the cyclotron and everything, like a nuclear accelerator, like they make mention of it in the old movies. And if you go like through designs and further through fan fiction and his writings and the way, like during interviews, way he describes what he was making, people like piece it together and be like, well, man, like theoretically this might work. But so in the movie, they actually take it apart, and when they turn it on the first time, you see the cyclotron actually like going around, because the way it works is, I'm not going to like fully explain it because I'd have to go back and watch a video again, but it's positively charged positrons going through the cycle, and like every 6 or whatever times I don't remember if it stores it through, like the positrons go up through the pack and then stores it where I think that whatever bar there is, and I can't fucking remember the whole thing, but I watched the video. It was like a half-hour video explaining the whole workings of a proton pack, and I was just sucked right into it. Like, fuck, what? But so going back, they explained that in the movie, but then with that Hasbro 1-to-1 scale pack they got come out, it's $400.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
But like you look at it, and one, it looks great, but two, they designed it so they had ghost heads and like cosplayers in mind. So they have all the attachment parts that you can attach things to it, to add speakers, to add all this shit to it.
No shit.
And like when I'm watching, I'm like, wow, this is like the ultimate gift that every 37/10-year-old would ever wanted. Like,
yes.
Like it's incredible what they did with it. And it's the fact that it's $400. Now, any Ghostbuster fan knows that an actual prop replica, from the biggest one is Bob's Prop Shop out in California.
Yeah,
he makes legit replicas, like they're steel frame and different plastics and stuff like that, like 3D printing, things like that. He does them like scale replicas. They look incredible, but they're like $2,500. But they look incredible. They sound incredible when you turn them on. Like the speakers he has on them, when you turn them on, like they're so good. The speakers are so good. It's like car speakers, and it's got that like hum, like in the movie when they turn it on. That it rumbles. Like if you turn it all the way up, it'll rumble your house. I'm like, that's awesome. These guys did it.
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, $2,500. I'm like, man, that's a lot. But then Hasbro comes out with theirs, and they did all that, but it's for $400. And in Bob's Prop Shop, his speaker is directly on the back, so it faces your back, so it kind of muffles it. They put their speakers on the bottom, so it doesn't muffle it. It just comes right out, and it's clear as day. I'm like, man, these guys are on top of the ball. But yeah, so they did show the inner workings of it. I just let my geek come out right there, because I love Ghostbusters. But
so do I. It's okay. We can geek out once in a while.
Yeah.
As long as we have our pants on, there's nothing illegal about it.
That's partially true. This is my house, so I can do what I want. So anyway, yeah, the movie was good. Whatever. Moving on. Is there anything else? Any did you watch? Oh, we talked about the Mandalorian in the last episode.
No, not much.
But we talked about like
I did watch all of the Book of
Cad
Boba Fett
Bane.
so far.
You did watch it?
Yes.
The whole thing? We watched the whole Cad Bane thing, and I still haven't watched the rest of Peacemaker.
Yeah, I haven't watched all of it either.
I think of Peacemaker, and I think of the gun from Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I think I used it for all of it 2 days.
Oh.
But that was just one for whatever reason. Like I said before, I just could not like really get into.
Yeah.
I did see the end of it when the Justice League showed up.
Oh, yeah.
And right off the bat, actually, that's one thing I had in my notes for Rich, but I really talked to you about it too, is in the ending of Peacemaker, you see the Justice League show up, but you see Superman's face is blacked out. Like, you don't see his face. And at first I'm like, well, maybe they just couldn't get him to, be there for the shooting, because they had Jason Momoa and whatever his name is that played Flash. And I don't think they had Wonder Woman either. I'd have to go back and look, but I know they had the Aquaman and Flash.
Yeah.
But Superman, you see him come down, but like his from here, his chest up was like shadowed. So like you clearly know who it is, but you couldn't see his face. So I'm like, well, maybe, like I said, maybe they just couldn't get him to do the shoot.
I understand.
Whatever. False. Turns out, I just found this out today. Netflix owns the rights to Henry Cavill's face.
So they can do it. They can do whatever they want with his face.
Oh. Yeah. They own the rights to his face.
No shit.
So they apparently, whoever, HBO or whoever the hell,
HBO Max,
DC, and has to go through Netflix to show his face. Isn't that a weird time we live in, where a corporation can own the rights to your face? You might be owned right now by one of those social media things that you blindly just say, accept.
Not so much his face.
No, that's what it said. His face.
Superman face.
No, Henry Cavill's face. That's what it said in the article.
So he can never star in another movie.
He can never go outside again. It's probably Superman's face, but the article said Henry Cavill, so which I'm like, that's screwy, but
that's different, I guess.
Yeah. But I'm assuming they meant Superman.
I was pouring out
Superman's
the rice
likeness.
on my penis.
But Charlie's got a good way of just bringing the whole conversation to a screeching halt.
A weird moment. Awkward moment.
Not even weird at this point. It's just like, all right, well, I guess we're done with that conversation.
No, but I can't imagine them owning a
Nope, I'm done with that conversation.
No, but seriously. I can't sit.
Henry Cavill, the man? No, I don't think they own his face. Maybe they do. Maybe
no. So you're telling me it can't be. You're trying to tell me he cannot star in any commercials. He cannot star in any pictograms, picture advertisements,
pictograph.
No magazines, no movies, no shows. I can't see that being the case.
I said, I think it's Superman, but the article I read just said Henry Cavill. I'm like, either that was a quick get this out, and the publisher just was like, well, they're not really going to proofread it. His face good. Okay. But, or maybe, like I said, maybe they do own Henry Cavill. Maybe Henry Cavill's in shackles right now in the basement of Netflix, like, you come out when we tell you can come out.
It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. We need your face looking young.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. You see, and I'm the one who brings the conversation to a screeching halt. You make jokes about putting your dick on the table again and again.
What are you talking about?
We know what that means at home, folks.
Front fart. That's Brawlhalla. That's later on.
That's Brawlhalla.
Anyway.
Yeah, leave a comment on that, Bruce.
The first serious topic, the original first topic I had for this.
Because I got us geeking out about Ghostbusters. I apologize.
I love Ghostbusters.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it was good. So go see it. 4 out of 4. 5 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5. Whatever.
I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Solid 4.5 out of 5.
Right.
Maybe a soft 5 out of 5. But that's most men when they're erect.
I suppose. It's weird, but okay. The first thing I had on here was the whole Hillary Clinton, like and how Democrats now. There's a lot of Democrats that want to indict her.
Oh yeah, I did hear something. I haven't had a chance. Two sentences started at the same time. I have heard something about that. I haven't had a chance to look into it.
Right.
But I mean, I've been seeing a lot of like memes and posts and stuff like that, and I've been wondering like, on what?
Oh, I have that. Well, that was the whole Russiagate to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
That was the original thing. Clinton's campaign. I got Clinton campaign paid to infiltrate Trump Tower, the White House servers to link Trump to Russia.
Tech company to infiltrate.
All right, let me start over there. All right, Clinton campaign infiltrate Tower. Okay. Lawyers for the Clinton campaign paid a technology company to infiltrate servers belonging to Trump Tower and later the White House in order to establish an interface and narrative to bring to government agencies linking Donald Trump to Russia, and filing from special counsel John Durham found.
So she tried to have Trump Towers, Trump servers, and the White House hacked to prove her allegation that Trump was
colluding with Russia. Essentially, yes.
I was going to say in cahoots, but
right.
That does sound much more
the indictment
articulate.
against Sussman says he told an FBI general counsel, James Baker, in September 2016, less than 2 months before the 2016 presidential election, that he was not doing work for, quote, any client, quote, when he requested and held a meeting in which he presented purported data and white papers that allegedly demonstrated a covert communications channel between the Trump Organization and Alpha Bank, which has ties to the Kremlin.
Which obviously was unfounded.
The whole thing was unfounded. The thing is, we spent 4 years, the media spent 4 years talking about Russiagate and how Trump colluded with Russia to influence the 2016 election, and that's what Hillary was talking about constantly. It's like the election was stolen because Trump had Russia tamper with the election process and got Trump to win. And this was right after the 36,000 emails had been deleted, and then suddenly that came in. So I guess the idea is that Hillary was like, well, shit, we got to get heat off me, so Trump and Russia. And that whole thing went about. And that's what the left just held on to the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
All through, right up until the last year when it finally came out and be like, yeah, not real. And now, with all this shit coming out, there's members of the Democratic Party that just want to see fucking Hillary burn. Because, like, man, you have so much. It just makes the Democrats look bad. Like it just makes them look terrible. Because, like, wow, it was a big lie. The emails were deleted, and then you lie about this Russiagate thing and Trump, and then later on comes to find out that you were paying people to infiltrate the presidential, not just Trump Tower. I mean, that's bad enough, but infiltrating the White House, that's sedition. That by definition is sedition.
That's to attack any. So here's, maybe I'm wrong, but going back to our school days, we were always taught that any form of an attack on our government is considered an act of terrorism.
Terrorism has a broad spectrum. It has a very broad thing.
When it's foreign or domestic,
I know what you're talking about.
If it's domestic, it's considered treasonous.
A lot of people are saying that's espionage.
Yeah.
The espionage is a foreign government.
It's treasonous.
Yeah. And
it really is.
So now that's come out, and if that holds to be true, game over for Hillary and whoever was colluding with her, claiming that Trump colluded with whoever. Like,
Nailed.
And you know, like I haven't really seen a lot of it covered in the news. Of course.
I know Bill was getting busy getting blowjobs, but she's gonna get fucked for real this time.
Seriously. Yeah, we're complaining about Bill Clinton. And he's like, you suck my wiener. But then here's like Hillary's fucking just. If this is all true, or she's actually indicted for this and found guilty, like Bill was just an average guy trying to get his winky sucked. But Hillary's fucking evil.
She'll serve 6 months in Club Fed and call it a day. I guarantee it.
Or, yeah. Well, she'll have to go like...
If it was you or me, we'd go to Guantanamo Bay and suck Big Bob's cock every time we had to get served our fucking cock meat sandwich. But this is fucking Hillary Clinton, who now, with everything she's done over the last fucking 20 years... will literally sit at home watching Netflix and chill.
It's like she's desperately trying to hold on to any kind of power she can, and just to the point of going and lying about this shit and infiltrating the fucking like information in the White House and shit like that. It's like she's like the fucking emperor from the Dark Crystal, the dying emperor in the beginning. The Skeksis, he's like, mine. I'm still like trial by stone.
But it really, the left will find a way. The left will find a way to excuse it. As bad, I'm sorry.
The extreme left will.
Oh yeah, you'll find.
I mean, obviously, Democrats are like. There's Democrats that are coming out and be like, "This broad's got to go." Like this broad's got to go because, like,
someone call her an Uber and get her out of the party, please.
It's just it's getting alcohol poisoning again.
Just do a drop and just do a drop at the hospital.
We found her on the street corner.
Driving around, door opens up. There's Hillary Clinton.
I
did it for America.
It makes America look bad. Yeah,
it does.
But it makes the Democrats look bad.
Even worse.
But and then added on to just Democrats. You see the Louisville Democratic candidate shot at. Yeah.
No, this is news to me.
Yeah, this past week it came out. There's a Democratic candidate in Louisville that was shot at. Let me see. Oh, that's the bailout. The person that ended up shooting at them, or the person that shot at them, ended up being a member of BLM, which is interesting because BLM and like the left and Democrats are always kind of in cahoots. Well, added on to that...
Well, it's not so much the BLM and the left. Democrats are in cahoots.
Or not BLM. Antifa and the Democrats don't like each
even
other.
Antifa. These weren't the like organizations that were like working with. They were organizations that the Democrats and the extreme left supported.
Yeah, during their election cycle back in 2019 and 2020.
I will say this much. That was probably one of their smartest decisions, not to work with them, but just to support them.
Yeah, like we said that before. It played on all the people that normally wouldn't vote at all and be like, look, we're supporting this cause. And then they went with the trans movement and the alphabet community there, the LGBTQ, and whatever else. And they just like each of these small communities were small. And they just got all their support, so that's all of those extra votes. But we've covered that before. But
oh yeah.
Well, added on to the BLM thing, it says BLM chapter spends $100,000 to bail out Kentucky activist charged with attempted murder. This is the 21-year-old activist charged with trying to murder a Kentucky mayoral candidate.
Mayoral.
Yeah, has been released from jail after his $100,000 bond was posted by a bail fund supported by the local Black Lives Matter chapter. Quintez Brown's cash bond was paid Wednesday afternoon by the Louisville Community Bail Fund, which is an arm of the Black Lives Matter Louisville news station, Wave reported. Right.
Okay, so...
This is by New York Post, by the way.
Okay.
Brown, who is accused of firing multiple shots inside a Louisville office of Craig Greenberg, who's run area candidate, on Monday, walked free from the Metro Department of Corrections just hours later.
Was there any... Let me ask you this, because obviously you've read the article. was there any statement or any comment given as to why shots were fired at a Democratic candidate by an Antifa member?
All right, well,
which was bailed out by a Black Lives Matter chapter.
No, not Antifa member. It was a BLM member.
It was a BLM.
It had nothing
okay.
to do with Antifa.
Sorry.
As far as I know, it had nothing to do with Antifa. So here,
okay, good.
To answer that, this is BLM Louisville organizer Chanel Helm, who co-founded the bail fund, told the outlet that Brown would be safer outside the prison and claimed he was likely suffering from PTSD after 2 years of social unrest in the COVID-19 pandemic. Quote, in this case, we're dealing with someone who has mental health issues, quote. There's a couple of problems.
What gun did he use?
I don't know.
Because that company will get sued next.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
There's a couple things here. One, there's a lot of scrutiny right now with BLM because the whole thing where they had that $40 million or whatever, $60 million, $60 million unaccounted for.
Yeah.
Where they made so much money, and then there was like 20 million of it went toward, I don't know if it's charities or just back into a nonprofit organization itself to keep it going or what have you. But 60 million of it completely disappeared. But at the same time, the people at the top of BLM suddenly had extra mansions and stuff. And like you said before, you read some article that said, oh, we're getting what we deserve finally, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said before, is on their tax information, there was an address that didn't exist. And didn't have anything to it. And the people that were in charge of the finances
that stepped away from the positions.
There was two of them that said, you guys are supposed to be in charge. And I said, well, we turned that down. It's not us. And so there was just complete, like a dead end, like every direction they went. And still, to my knowledge, to date, there's no idea where any of this money went. So there's a bunch of scrutiny behind Black Lives Matter already.
Yeah.
And now this comes out where I find it interesting that they went after the Democrats. Like, as I'm saying this, kind of arguing myself, but they went after Democrats who they so strongly supported. But at the same time, after Biden got in office, it was a few months later, one of the top people in Black Lives Matter stated that they felt abandoned by the Democrats and Biden administration. And like I said to an old guy I work with, I'm like, well, that's because they got their fucking votes and they don't need them now. Like in another year or two, when the election cycles start running up again, it's like, oh, they'll be right back at the door knocking down. It's like, hey, we're here to support you. Like, when are they going to smarten up? Well, it looks like not in the right way, but they're starting to smarten up and be like, these guys don't fucking have our back. Now that's not speaking for the entire Black Lives Matter community.
Yeah.
But at least this person who apparently has PTSD because of COVID, but shooting at political candidates, I mean, do what you do, but probably not the best way to get a message across.
You do you, boo.
Something like that. So, yeah.
And unfortunately, and the sad part is when you stop and think about it like that, the way you just said it, not the entire BLM community, but when does the sins of a few, when you look at it, so like, because, let's go back to the Trump escapades, we'll call them, the march, the Trump rallies, when things would
Are we talking about the election or January 6th?
Just everything in general.
All right.
Whenever some big event, fight breaks out at Trump rally because Trump supporters attacked Biden supporters or something like that, or when Trump was campaigning against Hillary, same thing. There was always something going on where things were getting excited, and every Trump supporter was all of a sudden a racist bigot or something like that. So because one or two people had to act out, it put a bad label on an entire community. So I agree with you when you say not the entire community, because the actions of a few should not represent the opinions of a community,
right?
Of a whole. Mm-hmm. But when's that? Like you said earlier, we talked about earlier about on a previous podcast about being binary. If it's going to be one way for one, it's got to be one way for the other.
True. But at the same time, BLM bailed him out. So, I mean, that's kind of... If it was just the initial happening and he was in jail, and it's like, oh, it's a BLM member did this, that would... You can know a bunch of right-wing news outlets are going to report that. BLM shoots at Democratic whatever just to make the Black Lives Matter movement look bad. From a rights standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
From centrists, and of course Democrats aren't, but from centrists is going to look at it and be like, all right, well, that doesn't really speak, like we're saying right now, it doesn't speak for Black Lives Matter.
No, I agree.
But when Black Lives Matter comes out and then bails them out, that's kind of, you know, that's...
You kind of shot yourself in the foot with that one.
Yeah, that's kind of skeevy.
If they had...
Now, if someone on the right did the same exact thing, like that would be all over CNN and everything else. It's like, look, QAnon fucking like got these guys, or
Republican,
not Project Veritas, but
Republican Trump supporter
shoots at MAGA supporter shoots at any political whatever. Even if it was a MAGA supporter shoots at Republican candidate, whatever, the left is going to pick that up and be like, look, told you they're full of hate, told you they're this and that. Like, look how violent they are. They're pro-gun, this and that, and now look.
Something I want to say really quick, too. It's not like I will never condemn. I will never. What's the word I'm thinking of? Loading. I will never say the Black Lives Matter community is a bad thing.
No.
Because what they stand for, the support, the enrichment of underprivileged Black Americans, etc., you know, any and all racial injustices that do occur, because it doesn't matter whether you're Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Latino, well, same thing, almost, Russian, German, it doesn't matter what country or race you're from, if a racial injustice happens, the Black Lives Matter movement, that's what they're there for. With the Black community, somebody should be there to help that situation.
Sure.
Help the victims of the situation. Like if a young Black man was gunned down. You remember, okay, back in the early 2000s, you remember the Black guy that was drugged behind the truck?
Mm-hmm.
There's something the Black Lives Matter should fight for. The conviction, et cetera, all the stuff that comes along with it. That is what I can fully support from the Black Lives Matter movement. But then something like this, it's like you
on paper it's great.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's just extremist one.
You're shooting yourself in the foot by doing something like that. Right. I agree.
But then on the flip side, what you get is just playing a narrative when Democrats are playing the race thing.
Oh yeah.
For a year and a half or whatever it was before the elections. Of course, you're going to rile up people in BLM or people that aren't even in BLM, but they're just like, well, racism is bad, so what the hell, you know? So that's just going to get more and more people siding with them. But that's going to rile up BLM and make them look at everybody on the right, because that's who they was just portrayed as racist. Everyone who's on the right is racist. So that's going to rile them up.
Oh, yeah.
And what's going to happen is people are just... What happens when anybody makes any kind of emotional decision? It's usually fucking bad. On whatever scale you want to put it, if you're deciding things...
It's not you, it's me.
Based on emotion, you're probably fucking up somewhere. Like I think that's maybe that's a personal thing, but I think decisions based on emotion is a shit way to make life decisions.
How many stupid decisions did we make after we got that response? It's not you, it's me. I'm emotionally angry. I'm going to go do drugs and drink. And then we wake up 2 days later, and it's like, what the fuck did I do?
But yeah, so that'll rile them up. Everyone, and we get what we get right now, a divided country.
That's what the Democrats said to the Black Lives Matter movement. It's not you, it's me. This isn't working out. We just see other people.
I feel abandoned. Don't worry, they'll be back in a couple of years. Yeah. Knocking on your door. I thought about it, and let's give it another shot.
We miss you, BLM. Come back to us. We were happy.
You were the best thing that happened to me. It's fucked because it's true. That's basically what it is.
Oh, we're
in
assholes.
A comedic sense.
It is.
That's what it is.
It really is.
And Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, every now and again they still play the race card. Fuck, look at Canada and everything. They play the race card up there. It's like these truckers are racist. That was like one of the first things they threw at him. Like, what?
Yeah, no, yeah, fuck that.
So you're a racist.
Because I'm a trucker.
There's like every trucker sitting at home listening to that, like, fuck, I didn't know
You know the worst part
myself.
of it is, we've talked about that shit on previous podcasts. When someone says you're a racist, what do you say? No, I'm not.
Yeah, like, what do you do? So there's nothing you can say to, like,
I'm a trucker.
Yeah.
You're a racist.
Every trucker, like,
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Every trucker listen to that and be like, what? But, like, most of them are like, the fuck did I do? Speaking of Canada,
Yeah.
they reopened well, what the hell bridge is that?
I don't know. I was going to say, I don't remember the name of the bridge, but they did reopen it.
I think, I do have an article.
They cleared it. That's good.
They're, well, yes and no. They cleared it after a bunch of police ended up arresting a lot of the protesters. That goes along with Trudeau and stating that he's got the Emergency Act that they have now in Canada. Basically,
Fidel Jr., my bad.
yeah, that too. Holy hell. You know what's funny about that?
The whole joke.
Before we get back onto the bridge in Canada, which really this all ties in together, so it doesn't really matter. But I sent that
picture, yeah.
I heard there was just in, I think it was on Tim Pool's Tim Pool IRL is the Timcast. They brought it up and they were talking about a picture of Fidel Castro, young Fidel Castro, and Justin Trudeau. I was like, man, he looks like his illegitimate son. Like, look how. And then I'm listening to it. It's like, all right, I gotta look. So I whip out my phone and I look it up. Holy shit! You look at the two of them together. Did you see it?
The picture. I didn't see anything else.
You saw the picture of them together?
They do look not together, side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Side by side.
Yeah,
they have the same
similar.
nose. They have the same eyes. If you threw a beard on Trudeau, boy, you look like a young Castro. I tell you though, like Cadastro, he was quite the cadet. But evidently, it's come out that says that's not true. But you know what's funny about the whole thing? There's a lot of people I've listened to. I was listening to Ben Shapiro, actually, and the entire episode I was listening to, every time he'd reference Trudeau as definitely not Fidel Castro's son. Like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, and now we got a statement here from not Fidel Castro's son. Just stuff like that makes me laugh.
You know what the worst part about it is when I was like, I had to remember Fidel Castro's name. I remember Trudeau like Cuban Missile Crisis. What the fuck was that guy's name?
But
Fidel.
Evidently, he was really close friends with Trudeau's mother, who I guess was a party addict back in the day.
Oh yeah.
We're just friends. Yeah, everyone knows that story.
Yeah.
He's just a friend.
Trudeau's mother was one of the women. I only have male friends, and all of a sudden you see a picture of a girl with like 8 hot dogs in her mouth.
Do you guys want a hot dog? Oh, how'd you? But what?
I need 5 minutes.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
Which it's funny. Whether it was actually disproven or rather actually proven, I don't know.
Grandma Maury. Fidel, you are the father. Oh
no. But after they reopened that bridge and everything,
the protesters.
Canada. Well, this is what, 3 weeks going on, this whole protest now? The trucker, the
a little over 3 weeks,
protest. Yeah. Canada's now loosening mandates throughout Canada, but they're claiming it has nothing to do with the convoy. It's because the science is changing. The convoy had nothing to do with their decision making.
Well, yeah, you turn enough frogs gay, the science is going to be right.
Listen, that has to do
They're turning the frogs gay, Joe.
You ever?
Yeah, you played that for
me. Never mind. The U.S. now is loosening their mandates as well. Also claiming that science has nothing to do with the convoy because there's been there's still rumblings about
that it's going to happen in America.
There were people like last week at the Super Bowl. They're like they're going to start at the Super Bowl and try to hijack the Super Bowl, which never happened. Like none of that ever happened.
Oh yeah, that was I actually did hear that, and it wasn't from. I heard that from a trucker friend. Who I talk to quite frequently. He's like, yeah, I know. I heard something about how like they were going to try to start it around the Super Bowl or something like that. I'm like, dude, that sounds more to me like somebody just trying to drop a fish hook in the water and hope to snag a fish.
Yeah,
they're baiting for something to happen.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Oh, see, I was right. That rumor that I heard was true.
I think at the very least they're waiting for like a bunch of supporters of the convoy to show up and just cause a bunch of ruckus and be like, we're going to shut this down. Look how violent this is.
Did you watch the halftime show?
A lot of this shit. Watch what?
Super Bowl. Did you watch the halftime show?
No. I saw clips of it, but I watched clips of it, and I was like, the only white boy ended up, and the whole gang ended up kneeling. Like Eminem's the only one that knelt at the end of it after their performance. And I guess this producers or whatever this halftime show told Eminem or told them all or whatever, said, do not kneel at the end of this. And Eminem, of course, being Eminem, after his performance, took a knee, like Colin Kaepernick, that whole spiel. Mind you, like, Mary J., 50 Cent, Dre, Snoop, like, none of them did.
Kendall Lamar.
Yeah, was he? Yeah, I don't know what everyone is there. I know, I saw those.
Kendall Lamar... Real quick side note, Kendall Lamar is all right. I like Kendall Lamar. Definitely not a bad artist. Some of his songs are enjoyable, but he's just like Post Malone.
Right.
Some good, some, what's the other song on the radio? Don't get me wrong. Like I said, talented artist. But
I'm not.
I've heard, because I've listened to a little bit of his stuff. Best part about being in a truck, you get to listen to a bunch of radio, a bunch of different stations. Did you see any of the memes that blew up after 50 Cent after the halftime about 50 Cent?
I saw some
because he was hanging upside down and it was like, and then he stood up straight. It was like, oh okay, it was just all the blood.
That?
It was just all the blood rushing to his head.
How is he turning red?
We're gonna edit that one out.
Not even. Listen, I have eyes and they see things.
All I could think of was Blade 2. So, me and the guys were wondering, Ron Perlman, can you blush to Wesley Snipes?
Well, according to Chris Rock, they don't blush. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was actually T.D. Jakes. That's who said it.
I don't remember Chris Rock
saying it might have been some, but T.D. Jakes said that. Said, I can be embarrassed as much as I want. You can't even tell. Yeah, but anyway, going way back. Wait, what was your point with the whole? Oh, just the memes with
a little bit of the nostalgic value. It was kind of cool. I watched the halftime show. I was like, oh, that's a nice little blast from the past just to hear some of those songs played again.
It was. I'm not the biggest fan of all of them. Some of their stuff I like, but it was nice to see that instead of like, God forbid we had Island Boys on there or something. Whoo! Although it would have made sense. Don't
even end that statement.
The way,
because next year, if
Cash Me Outside, she'll be there.
You fucking did. You're an asshole. This motherfucker just predicted next year's fucking halftime show. Cash Me Outside, Tekashi 6ix9ine, Island Boys.
Wouldn't that be something? But it would make sense if they got all of them to be on it, because
and then they set the field on fire.
What the product has become. We talked about the Pro Bowl last week.
Oh yeah.
But what the product's become, like to glorify two-hand touch and the more I hear it, every year I hear it more and more, and every year just a little bit, I believe it a little more and more is like the NFL's rigged. But then I started watching the NFL like I watch wrestling. I'm like, well, the storyline here makes more sense. And then I'd watch it play out and be like, boy, that's coincidental. And then every year, more and more, I was like, they're going to have this team go all the way. It's got to. It's just like, it would be like the biggest story. And then Bengals, for one.
Yeah.
Comeback Kid, talk about that. And then there's the Bengals roaring through. And there they are, especially with what Bengals didn't have an O-line. And they're there in the Super Bowl. Not discrediting anybody, because, disclaimer. I'm going to get like the handful of Bengals fans. But
you're right. It was rigged. It's unfair.
There was one video I saw. And it was taken from whatever. It was a Rams someone game. And it was a tackle after, it was a kick return or something, maybe a handoff. And the guy with the ball he made a cut. And then when he went to turn, he's got the ball in one hand. And with this hand, with his thumb, he does this. Maybe it's just coincidence. But after he does this, the guy that goes to wrap him up a tackle wraps up high. Now, I don't know if anyone out there has ever played football.
Oh,
you don't wrap up high. You always wrap toward the waist and the legs. Well, it was like a wrestler not knowing how to sell, going for a clothesline but missing. So he clotheslines up here, like above his head. That's the comparison I got. Like he goes to wrap him up way up here and he just gingerly ducks under it. And it was like, boy, if it's a coincidence, it's a hell of a coincidence. Like, got it. Go up, duck, and then run. I'm like, It's just small things like that every year I see more and more. I'm like, maybe it is rigged.
Well, dude, if you go back, if you watch, literally you can go on YouTube right now. Rigged moments in NFL. Just type that in your search for YouTube videos. And you'll see countless videos of live games. Now, of course, full disclaimer, it's on YouTube after the games. Oh, editing. But a lot of these live ones, like when they happen, there was a few where it's like you're watching the live game and at first you're like, wait, oh man, maybe I just wasn't paying attention. And then you see a video, like there was one about like clock shaving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I remember
seconds get cut off and you're like, where'd they go?
Yeah. Or it's like,
how do we go from 9 to 6?
reverse clock back to 1:48. And there's like 2:06 on the clock. And I was like, wait, what? And then it drops to 1:30. It's like, wait, what?
I've seen stuff like that. Was like big. That was a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
I do remember something like that. Like wasn't that a Patriots game? I think that might have been a Patriots game with Tom Brady because that's how so much heat got, or even more heat got. I don't
remember the team specifically.
Maybe it wasn't, but
it was literally live reported. Oh well, it was actually televised airing. Because you got to remember the sound waves and the satellite, and with the sun blinding and the wind catching the signal, it delayed it. So what you guys actually saw was the TV trying to catch up to the handrail guy that cranks the film strip.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
and that's why. And by then you have you don't have enough breadcrumbs to get home, so you just accept it. You're like, he's probably right. Yeah. It's like, I'm fucking lost.
I've got so off the track with this fucking trail I was following that I'm in another state now.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they're arresting people in the convoy and the protests and everything, and they're starting to arrest. Well, that was on the bridge, but now they're starting to arrest protesters in the city now, just to try to get them out. Which I find, again, funny, because we had the BLM thing, and Chaz and Chop that were taking over and making their own city-state or whatever inside of the city. And they're like, this, and they're burning things. We've covered that many times before where they're...
Well, there was that one town over in, Washington, where they weren't...
Seattle.
It was Seattle.
Yeah, it was
They weren't
Seattle.
allowing police in?
Yeah, they well, that was during the whole... at the same time as that was the start of the defund the police movement and everything like that. Well, a lot of this is because of the Emergency Act there, that Trudeau instated.
Yep.
So he has got emergency powers. So I was like, well, what exactly are his emergency powers? There were 4 that were noted here in this article I got in BBC News. It was a situation must be considered a threat to the security of Canada as defined by the Canadian Security Intelligence Service Act. This law outlines 4 possible scenarios: espionage or sabotage, which I don't think this is either of those. Foreign influenced activities, which I don't think it's
It
that.
started in Canada and was going on in Canada, so
Right.
it wasn't America influencing Canadian protesters. Okay.
Right. Threats or use of acts of serious violence or for political, religious, or ideological objectives. I don't think there's any kind of threat, violent or anything on them. I mean, we said that before.
Yeah, there was.
You compare that with Seattle. Now, granted, Seattle's in the States, and this is Canada, so they're probably a little more strict up
Regardless,
there. But
one was driving and honking their horns. The other was burning down buildings and breaking into places.
But even beyond that, just staying, not even talking about January 6th, but not talking about anything in the States, you see videos of it, and it's a fucking rave. It's like a party. It's like, I haven't seen any violence at all. Like it's basically a giant block party. That's what it is. Like, this is too violent. Send in the clowns. And then the fourth one is covert unlawful acts intended to undermine or overthrow the constitutionally established government. I think that's what they're going to go for. But
they're not trying to overthrow the government.
Yeah,
they're trying to get the government to remove the mandates.
Exactly. They're not trying to overthrow their government. They're trying, like, you're doing this.
That's a stretch.
Please.
If they go for that one, that's a stretch.
I think that's the closest one they got. And I'm saying closest as in it's miles away, but I think that's the closest one they got. But that's why they instated this Emergency Act, which I guess this is, the first time or maybe the second time ever in the history of Canada that they've instated the Emergency Act.
Oh, Jesus.
But over that, like... If it takes that little to instate Emergency Act up in Canada, what if something actually happens, like, I don't know, Seattle riots, but in Calgary? Fuck! Martial law, here we come.
Yeah.
That'll be an actual true war inside their company, because if truckers go in there honking their horns, making hot dogs, and having bouncy houses with a rave is dangerous, they're trying to overthrow us. Look at fucking Ronald McDonald Foundation's up here now. If that's that dangerous... God forbid they have actual, like, Antifa
RMM.
members going up there and be like, you got to pay us money so we can...
RMM, Ronald McDonald Matters.
Yeah, that's right. Don't do that. You'll start a new...
Oh, God.
You don't need that. This one is more... where it's coming from, this is from yournews.com, but where the thing's actually coming from is Project Veritas. So there's going to be a group of people that just dismiss it right off the bat.
Yeah.
But I've seen things from Project Veritas that have later come out to be true, dealing with, like, election cycles and what they're doing, the mandates. This one just came out. FDA executive officer on hidden camera reveals future COVID policy. Quote, Biden wants to inoculate as many people as possible and have to get an annual shot. End quote. I went through this article. It said, Cole indicates that annual COVID-19 shots isn't probable but certain. When pushed on how he knows an annual shot will become policy, Cole states, quote, just from everything I've heard, they, being the FDA, are not going to not approve it.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, this even further proves it then. Go ahead.
Rewind. Can you say that?
Okay.
They're not going to not approve it? Can you read
it says, Cole states, just from everything I've heard, the FDA are not going to not approve it, meaning they are.
Was that double? Okay, I did hear that right.
Yeah, it's a double negative.
Double negative.
Every time they throw a double negative in, you're like...
Yeah, sorry.
Footage, okay. Cole, sound bites from Cole, the financial incentives pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer have to get the vaccine approved for annual usage. Quote, it'll be reoccurring fountain of revenue, Cole said in the hidden camera footage. Quote, it might not be that much initially, but it'll reoccurring if they can get every person required an annual vaccine, that is reoccurring return of money going into their company. So right there shows this is the cash grab, which we've said months ago.
Oh, yeah.
When the whole thing with the amount of money they made from the year prior to the year the vaccine came out. It was, what was it? It was 4 million.
It was like 70 million to like 4 billion.
Yeah, it was something like that. I can't remember the actual. I know it was
something like those numbers.
It was 4.4 billion.
Is what they jacked up to.
Yeah, but the year before was like 40 or 60 or 80 million dollars, which is a ungodly increase. And just looking at that amount of money, you're like, there's no fucking way they're just going to give up on this. I mean, any business model you're not. It's like, well, this is our cash flow right here. And I think a lot of people kind of figured like they're going to keep the vaccine or try to keep the vaccine around. And then here it is. Executive officer from the FDA said this is what they're going to do. This is what they want to plan to do. So everyone's got to keep getting their vaccine, which is fucked because people aren't vaccinated. That's going to be like a gateway to jobs, which it's already been that. But if this holds true, it ain't going anywhere. Wow. Like you're going to be stuck. You want to work, you need the shot. Which
COVID.
Probably. That's all right though. I got natural immunity. I've tried to surround myself around COVID after I got COVID, just keep the immunities going. So
yeah.
Maybe not a great strategy, but seems to work. Anyway, so yeah, that's it's kind of fucked.
Yeah,
kind of fucked. But we talked about that before.
From a sleazy business standpoint. Yeah, that would make sense. I mean,
financially, yeah, I guess it does make sense at our expense.
Let me ask you this: knowing what's going on up in Canada. And now that America's seen firsthand what a genuinely peaceful protest can accomplish, do you really think our government's going to be stupid enough to, okay, let's do that?
Yes, because they've gone this far already. Granted, there's a lot of pushback, and there's more and more pushback. We are at where we are because the general public just didn't do anything, because I think a lot of them either believed it was for the good or they just didn't think it's like, well, it can't go any further, and it just keeps going further. And then this comes out, and like I said, if this holds true, I was like, man, this is not clearly not going to stop then. So we're just going to keep going and going and going, and then it's just going to be a forever thing. But here's the thing, though. If they keep it so it doesn't cost anything for the public to get it, that just means the government's spending more money, billions of dollars, on what? Well, just more shit that we probably don't need.
Yeah.
At the very least, if they're going to do something like this, make it like the flu shot. It's like if you want to get it.
Well, we invested how many? The country invested how many? The government invested how many millions of dollars into Fauci's work with drowning lab rats?
Probably billions.
Yeah. Well, let's spend some
more money. At this point, I mean, he's been in his.
What's a few $1 billion more?
Pharmaceutical.
We're gonna make the $1 trillion coin anyway and be all right.
I just got talking about that the other day again. Because Biden, I guess, signed. I just read today he signed another bill to increase spending for the states, so there's not a government shutdown that takes them to September. Like every fucking few months, we have to sign a new bill. Be like, all right, we'll increase spending. All right, we'll increase spending. Mind you, probably now. We saw the ticker before. We were talking about the national debt ticker, and it was just done. It's probably over 30 trillion now.
So yeah, let me find out.
I can't remember what the website was, but it was disgusting. It was just disgusting. But now we're just going to keep adding to that, and now we're going to have just spend billions every year to throw out a shot for everybody.
National debt clock.
Yeah. Where are we at?
Oh boy.
There's too many numbers. We're at a Google? What the fuck is a Google?
Yeah, figure that out.
We are at 30,136,333,480,500,000. Well, we're almost to 600,000, and that gives you an idea how fast it goes up. About every 4 seconds, it goes up $100,000. That's up right here on the top.
Oh, okay.
That's our national debt.
So there's so many fucking numbers.
It's got a whole bunch of different.
Debt per citizen, $90,000 and change. debt per taxpayer, 240,000 and change.
That's about right. I mean,
U.S. federal spending, 6,907,830,600. That is literally going. I can't even read that fast. U.S. federal
just
budget.
stop at the million. That's slow enough.
U.S. federal budget deficit official, 2,848,593,000,000 plus.
That might be for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 30,
U.S. federal
so
spending right now. U.S. federal spending. That's going up quick. 7,078,000,000.
The bill was just signed today.
746 million. U.S. federal budget deficit. You know, in 1960, 1980, 2000. Now, we have increased. We have increased our debt percentage, our debt spending, our debt from 53% to 125% since 1960 to now.
I don't know what the game plan is.
And oh god, this is good.
The ridiculous spending,
dude. This is actually good because get this: U.S. federal tax revenue. This has a bunch of clocks. 4,059,000,000,000. So our national debt is going up at a rate of. Count to 10 for me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay. We're going up about $250,000 every 10 seconds.
All right.
We are bringing in. Oh, you're going to love this. Count to 10 in.
Oh, so much.
Starting now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is like Sesame Street. Count along with me.
All right, you're gonna love this. We're going in debt about $250,000 per 10 seconds. We're making back about $10,000 for every 10 seconds.
We know how to make money.
Yeah.
Us.
Whatever.
Government's got it in control. We're fine.
Revenue per citizen, $12,000, $212.
And now we're just roughly going to add another 4 billion for shots. Fuck it. We'll just create more coins and then smelt them down the next financial quarter.
Oh my god. This is
depressing, I know.
This is sad. This is wow. Student. Oh my god. Listen to this.
What?
Student loan debt, $1,771,566,000,000, and it's going up at about.
I think, Sally Mae's been attacked quite a few times because they've been a big sham.
It's going up about $12,000 per 10 seconds.
Right.
So, will you fuckers stop learning?
About a semester.
We're spending more every 10 seconds than we're making back.
So that's about right. Like every 10, 12, whatever seconds, someone else enrolls in college. So about 12,000 a semester. So about right.
Oh my god.
Well, you know who could use some of the extra money they're just printing off and throwing out there? Is possibly Remington right now. For having to pay how many millions of dollars?
$73 million is what they settled on.
To pay to the Sandy Hook families.
Now, full disclaimer. We probably shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to say it for both of us. It is very unfortunate about what happened. That is a travesty that no person, community, state, country, any place in this world should ever have to go through. The Sandy Hook shooting.
I don't think it really happened. I'm kidding. It's Alex Jones.
But
2012.
But to sit there and file a class action lawsuit is what I believe it was filed under by the family members of the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting to sue Remington because the game was portrayed in a violent video game which was geared towards angry young males.
What game? I don't know.
I believe it was Call of Duty. Don't quote me.
According to court filing, make the first time a gun manufacturer has been held accountable for a mass shooting in the U.S. $73 million. Settlement comes over 7 years after the family sued the maker of the Bushmaster XM15 E2S semi-automatic rifle that is used in the 2012 mass shooting in Newton, Connecticut. I don't see anything using marketing to convey that a person is more powerful or more masculine by using a particular type of or brand of firearm is deeply irresponsible. Oh, well, then that's good. So there should be a whole bunch of lawsuits and everything going after Bush, Budweiser, Miller, Coors, because it's...
Car companies. Because the faster your street car, the racing companies, because the faster your car, the more you're going to win, the more chicks are going to want you.
This, maybe it's the whole situation is a little heavier than the Joe Rogan thing, but this is kind of up along the same lines as me saying that I don't think Joe Rogan should have apologized for the compilation of N-word, his bombs there, because it was all in context. I think the perfect, not to get off this, but I think the perfect analogy in regards to that compilation is if you say, use just any word, just think of a word and give it, whatever.
Cash.
Okay, now I say, Charlie, use cash in a sentence, and then you say, I'm using cash in a sentence. That doesn't describe the, you're not saying anything about it, you're just using it in context, or out of context.
I only pay for fellatio with cash.
Right. Well, that would be actually
I don't use credit because
that would be using it in context and having but if you're just describing the word cash or something, there's no context there. There's you're just using it as
cash me outside. How about that? Does that count?
I guess loosely it does. Going back though, the fact that Remington had to pay any amount of money.
Well, here's the thing. They hold on, because
you're basically pinning blame on a third party that had nothing to do with anything there. Nothing that happened. Okay, it was your product that was there that was used, but suppose it wasn't Remington. Suppose it was Mossberg. Suppose it was Ruger. Suppose it was Winchester, Smith & Wesson.
Hold on.
I mean, where do you draw that line? I don't agree with that at all. Again, like you say,
what the fuck?
I don't know.
Wow. Updated at 12:30 p.m.
Today?
No, sorry. But listen to this.
All right.
The Supreme Court has denied Remington Armed Company's bid to block a lawsuit filed by families of victims of the Sandy Hook School Massacre. The families say Remington should be held liable as the maker and promoter of the AR-15 style rifle used in the 2012 killings. The court opted not to hear the gun maker's appeal in a decision that was announced Tuesday morning. The justices did not include any comment about the case Remington Arms Company versus Soto as they turned it away.
Why?
Fuck?
I don't understand.
Hold on.
That's what I don't get. Why?
Donna L. Soto, administratrix of the estate of Victoria L. Soto.
But again, I don't understand why they wouldn't even hear the appeal.
No.
It just sounded like they already had their mind made up before. But as soon as they heard the whoever, the kin or the representatives of the victims, they heard them be like, all right, yeah, you're going to get it. Again, that's not to say that the victims don't deserve something, but the fact that
you know why this is catching me off guard, right?
Why?
Donna L. Soto, Victoria L. Soto.
Okay.
That just strikes me as awfully peculiar names. We'll talk more about it after.
Relation to you?
No.
Oh.
But that's not a very common last name.
Well, there's a baseball player, Soto. There's a couple of them, I think. In relation to you? Every Soto's related to me.
The baseball Soto is.
It's like every...
Because we know how to swing big bats.
Or strike out and get released 2 years later, but whatever.
Talisa Soto, Katana from the original Mortal Kombat movies. She was hot. She's a family member I probably shouldn't have been attracted to.
Anyway.
But still, The whole fact of the matter is, I'm sorry. I do not, like I said, full disclaimer, it is very unfortunate about what happened.
Yeah.
Should there have been a fund or a program or something to help the families with the services, therapy, dealing with the issues? Yes, they should all have been given everything they need to talk about what happened, to get the resolution they feel they deserve because they lost a family member. But to sue a company because, oh, use this gun, it'll make you more manly. Drive this car, it'll make you go faster. Then I'm going to get into a car accident with a Nissan Skyline, Fast and the Furious reference, and then I'm going to sue Nissan for millions of dollars because they portrayed the car in a false manner.
I mean, yeah. It's just like when we were talking about...
buy this guitar, you'll be a rock star. Play this use these computer programs, you'll be the next video game designer. Everything, basically what this lawsuit is stating is everything that bad that happens because you bought something under a false pretense because, let's face it, we're all adults here.
It not even have to be a false pretense. Because it could just, the marketing will make it sound like this, and you might not even have in your head be like, oh yeah, I will be, or I will look better. This, you just like, oh yeah, that does look cool. I'm going to get it. But then
something bad happens, and now you could sue because, oh, well, it was advertised to do this, and I didn't do it.
Yeah, I think that opens too many doors.
It does.
Just like with the thing we were talking about, that's what I was saying with the... when people that were supporting the vaccine thing, and they're like, well, if you don't get the vaccine, then you should be denied health care or treatment, any hospice treatment. But then you go with that logic, then if you smoke or anything else that you're doing to yourself, then you should also be denied. If you don't wear a seatbelt, you shouldn't be treated if you get in a car accident and you're injured, any kind of injury. Like, that's poor logic. That whole idea is poor logic. Same with this Remington thing. The whole idea is just poor logic that, well, Remington made the firearm, and however they promote it, they're not going to like put out a gun. Let's say Remington put out guitars. They're not going to put the guitar out and make it look like, well, if you want to look like a shithead, why don't you buy this guitar, you fucking idiot?
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. This is marketing. You're not going to fucking do that. You're going to make everyone who's using it look like a badass or look like a star or whatever. You're not going to put fucking...
The guy's going to be on stage rocking and the girl's going to be sitting there, or vice versa.
Right.
The girl's going to be up on stage rocking and the dude's going to be like, yeah.
You're not going to make it look like a like a schmuck. It's just not going to... That's stupid. But hey, whatever.
I don't agree with... But here's the thing. Let me ask you this. Why do you think they settled? Because someone made a comment to me. Now, my mind was already putting the pieces together, but when this gentleman that I was speaking to about it said this out loud, I'm like, that's where my mind was going. That makes sense.
Because a settlement is not like an official ruling or anything like that. So basically, if Remington comes out and says, listen, we'll just settle this, take this money, we don't have the stigma on our name. I mean, you're going to have the stigma from people reading it, but you're not going to have the actual legal stigma on their name. And hopefully they can just kind of get by it. Two
things. One, that's basically what he said. He goes, and they can't fight it because if they fight it, oh, well, now you're promoting killing. You're promoting shootings.
Then it just makes them look like even worse.
That was the two things. One, that was the one thing. Two, go out, because this I actually researched is true. Go out and buy a Remington as fast as you can because they are clearing the shelves. Remington's not shutting down, but because so many people are feeling the same way about this.
They're probably afraid they are.
No,
I mean, people are probably afraid Remington's going to shut down.
One comment, because a person had went to the local Walmart, was the one person though they interviewed. He bought 5 off the shelf. He goes, that's I think it was $2,000 or something that he spent. He says $2,000 back in their pocket.
Yeah.
So people are like, we're going to go buy every Remington we can to put the money back in their pocket because they had to settle.
Yeah. I mean, if people, even one gun, it'll be back within a few weeks.
I mean, it was just to read that, I'm like, did that guy go out and buy spitefully, or was he actually trying to support Remington?
Could have been either. Maybe it was both.
Fuck you. I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'll spend thousands of dollars. Okay. Well, you taught me my lesson. Thanks.
Well, yeah, I don't know. There's a thing that CNN had out. There was an article on CNN.com. They changed the title of it, but I heard the original title of it was Joe Rogan's use of the N-word is another January 6th. That's the same reaction I had. What?
Blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
There's another January 6th.
It was like that title was used for like a day, maybe not even, and it was quickly changed, I think, because anybody on any side of anything January 6th would look at that and be like, what? Like, the fuck are you talking about? Unless you're just a super extremist left, there's no way. They kept, do I have, whatever.
Gotta look pretty.
I
only do this with you because you look good.
They kept the article the same.
Hungry. Article the same.
I completely lost. Whatever.
They kept the article the same, but they changed the headline.
They changed the headline, but they kept the article the same. In the article, it still makes reference to it. The second paragraph in the article, again, CNN, says, I'll just go through the first two. The podcaster Joe Rogan did not join a mob that forced lawmakers to flee for their lives. He never carried a Confederate flag inside the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. No one died trying to stop him from using the N-word. But what Rogan and those that defend him have done since video clips of him using the N-word surface on social media is arguably just as dangerous as what a mob did when they stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th last year. Rogan breached a civic norm that has held America together since World War II. It's an unspoken agreement that we would never return to that kind of country we used to be. If that was true, everyone in Def Jam, everyone in any rap, any kind of music, not even rap, comedy, any stand-up comedians, anything where that would be movies look at Sam Jackson.
Nothing but love, Sam, in case you actually watch this podcast.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with that. Like, I love Sam Jackson. But for
it's my bear.
For this argument,
you might even fight it too.
Yeah. Dave Chappelle, which he's under fire too.
Stuck on the club.
But that
hey baby,
that statement. Oh, let me get a nickel bag. But Killing Him Softly. It's back 2001.
Oh my god.
Or 98, I think. It was actually 98. Anyway,
Mr. President, stop sucking the ambassador's dick.
That argument is just, again, piss poor.
It is
piss poor.
Because, well, that's the thing. Like you said, we talked about it on the previous podcast with Rich. It was a video that was cut and edited to just basically depict him saying the word.
Yeah. Taken his, again, out of context. With most anything like this that's taken or put out there is out of context. But again, it doesn't make you look good. Like, someone does that to you, and it's just compilation of you dropping that. It's just not going to. It doesn't matter whether it's in context or not. It just doesn't look good.
Okay, let me ask you this.
All right, ask the phone.
Would Huckleberry Finn? Do you remember the one black character's name?
Oh God!
You don't have to say it.
It's over there, but no.
And Jim.
All right.
I think it's Huckleberry Finn. They're floating down the river. Mm-hmm. Or The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
Yes.
Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
Yes. That's also over there. One of the classic books.
Do you think if a white person read the book over YouTube in installments, do you think their channel will be pulled down because if they read it verbatim?
YouTube? Yes.
And they said that.
Yes.
Now, do you think a black person's videos would be taken down if they read the book verbatim and said the word?
Under YouTube guidelines, yes. Because, again, it's binary. If you're going to do this, you have to. If
now,
you're
let's
talking
be realistic.
If you're talking about the word, no. If you're talking about the word, you have to enforce your rules with the word. Doesn't matter the context. Doesn't matter whatever.
Almost thought
I'm not taking any of it down because I'm for free speech. Is there shitheads out there that use it the way it shouldn't be, or at all? Sure, of course there is. Just like there's murderers, but most gun owners aren't fucking murderers.
There
or
are
robbers.
people who use any racial slur towards any race or ethnicity improperly.
Sure.
Unfortunately. But this word in contact in particular, there's the problem. You can't, like you said, it's got to be binary, but it's never going to be.
No, it never is. And the fact that, like, and this comes straight from the horse's mouth, too. Just any black person be like, this is our word. Like, how does that work? You can't just have my word.
Oh.
Like, well, if that's the case, then you can't say cracker or anything like that. But it's flown like you know, like Old Faithful. Like, who writes these rules? And like, who keeps changing? It's like we used to joke at my old job all the time. The rule book's written in pencil and the R's reversed. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I was told by somebody that reverse racism doesn't exist. I looked at this person like they had 8 heads.
Is this the same person you were talking about before?
No.
All right.
No. Entirely different person. I go, wait, what? And they go, yeah, reverse racism doesn't exist. Racism is just racism. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So if an Asian person is racist against a white person can't be racist against an Asian person, but they can be, or vice versa. Black, white, Jew, German, Asian, Hispanic, Argentinian, Canadian, French, English, doesn't matter. They're like, there's no such thing as reverse racism because the definitions are the same. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, you thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? I'm like, yeah, I did. I'm not going to lie.
I wonder if maybe there is, and hear me out. Let's say
reverse racism. You're this color or this ethnicity, and I appreciate for you. Here's $1 million. Reverse racism.
And that would work too. All right, yeah. So that's
it's the opposite of racism.
That's actually probably the easier one. I was gonna say, like, let's say there's an ethnic group that looks at like the whites and be like, basically what's going on right now. You've done this, you say this, you're racist, now you have to prove that you're not by doing a bunch of shit for me, and then you end up doing it over and over and over and over, so you slowly become the person that's serving the person that you're supposedly holding down, which is essentially what's going on right now.
When did the student become the master? Or the master become the student? That's what it is. There you go. The student becomes the master when the master becomes the student.
This episode's going to get some heat.
Yeah, it is. That's called chlamydia.
There's another thing where Facebook's stock dropped, a record drop in one day. This is from BBC News.
Why?
Not entirely sure. I was like, wow, that's quite a bit. And it ended up they lost more than $230 billion in stock on Thursday. This is last Thursday, not this, as in this recording. Shares fell 26.4% after quarterly figures disappointed investors. Meta also said that Facebook's daily activity users had dropped for the first time in its 18-year history. That's because, like, there's more things like TikTok and things. I think Facebook's starting to go by the wayside like MySpace did. Where there's all these new, like, at the time MySpace was big, Facebook has just come out. Twitter wasn't out yet. That wasn't until, like, I don't know when that, like, blew up. That was shortly after Facebook.
No, Twitter hasn't been Twitter was
like 2012 or 13 or 4, somewhere around there. At least that's when I became aware of it. Anyway.
Oh, boy. When did Twitter start? March 21st, 2006 in San Francisco, California.
Well, Facebook started way back in about the same time, too. But, like, it hadn't blown up until shortly after.
February 2004, Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Yeah. It was shortly after. So, like, I really became aware of Facebook in, like, 2008, I think. And
MySpace came out in 2003.
Mm-hmm. It had a good 3-year run. 3 or 4 year, roughly. But
yeah, 3 or 4 year. Yeah, you're right.
But I think Facebook is, like, really, because I mean they had like the Facebook short clip things there. They're trying to compete with YouTube Shorts and TikTok primarily.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying, but I think more people are shorter and shorter attention span. So when they go to TikTok, like I love long form. I do the TikTok things because a lot of people like short form. So if you just clip the show up and that gets a shit ton of views, but I also like have them like try to drive them to the long form, like all the Spotify and all those kind of things. I love long form mostly because of my job. It allows me to listen to long form.
Me too.
But I still listen to long form here if I'm working on something or whatever. I enjoy long form podcasts, videos, or what have you. The company's share price slide saw Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg's net worth fall by $31 billion, according to Bloomberg.
Not so rich now, are you, Zuckerberg? You can zucker this bird.
So now he's worth an estimated $90 billion. So he dropped below $100 billion. Well, he's poor now. Welcome with the rest of us.
I wish I had $1 billion.
All right, that's the serious shit.
Yeah.
As far as Facebook dropping, which, one more thing with Facebook, the whole metaverse thing, I wonder if that's really going to affect at least Facebook's version of the metaverse. Because if people are starting to kind of leave Facebook or Meta, whatever you want to call it now, like the rug, granted, they're still worth billions of dollars, but it almost seems like if this is a trend, the rug's going to get pulled out below the metaverse before it even gets off the ground, which is funny because there's that one guy and sure tons of other people that spent $430,000 for a digital home next to Snoop Dogg. So is that just going to be a waste of money and we're never actually going to get Ready Player One? That's sad.
MySpace is still active.
Yeah, I know. I know MySpace is active.
I don't think Facebook will ever fully go away.
No, I don't think it'll go away. I'm just talking about the popularity and where it stands on the supremacy, say, of social media.
Yeah.
Like, one quarter, $24 billion, that's a lot of money. That's a lot. That's a big loss. Even for a big, company like that, that's a big loss.
Oh,
20, or no, it was at 26%. Yeah, it's 26% it went down. That's big. All right, well, going on to some geek shit here. Brawlhalla top player Sandstorm retires due to, quote, broken game mechanics, end quote. We talk all the time. We fucking go off in that game. Now, I love Brawlhalla. I play it in waves.
I do love the game as well.
We go off all the time and be like, this game is broken. But, like, in actuality, it's what every fucking, like, just general player will say all the time, anytime they fucking lose. The game's broken. Now, if you step outside of the Brawlhalla, I'm playing this right now box, and look at every fucking game you've ever played, you cannot tell me that what the fuck just happened or what has never come out of your mouth playing any other game.
Oh,
because it's always happened. The difference is Brawlhalla, one, we played a lot, and two, Brawlhalla is like this quick thing. It's one of the best platformer fighter games out. I think it's way better than Smash. It's quick, it's fast paced, it's more responsive. Smash has a nostalgia thing with its characters.
I was gonna say Smash's thing. The mechanics are good. Yes, it is,
but
it feels
unbalanced. Slower. Because you can use different characters. This I know from the old Smash up to now. You can use different characters in Super Smash anything, and just have a fucking massive advantage. That's not to say that doesn't happen in Brawlhalla, but not to the scale of Smash. Like, what the big thing, I don't know if it was the recent one or the one from before, you could use Kirby, and just constantly fucking suck in your opponent, and like, it was just like completely...
you fly over, drop them, and then float back.
Yeah, it was like completely broken. Like, and shit like that. With Brawlhalla, there's broken shit, like right now, which is in like one of his reasonings, one of his big reasonings. Hammer and axe right now are completely broken. The reason why they're broken is they're both heavy weapons. If you don't know the game, look it up. it's a platformer fighter like Super Smash Brothers.
Brawlhalla.
Yeah.
BRAWL.
So if you're in this for politics, we're off politics now. So now this is geek stuff. Hammer and axe are heavy weapons, so they should feel like heavy weapons when you use them, like slower swings and stuff like that. But the frame rate and swings, and when you go from your start your swing to your max speed, the max velocity of the swing, it feels like a sword, especially if you use axe, like that's a, and it feels like you're swinging a sword because it's so quick. So that's one.
But here's the thing, though. I actually not, because I played a little bit. I played a little Brawlhalla before I came over. When you Sentinel, the guy I've come to really enjoy using lately, turn on the hitboxes and watch. Mm-hmm. You could stand right in front of me, and if I do the forward sig, I will miss you. If you
he goes over. It's an arch.
It's the hitbox is actually only on the hammer head. Mm-hmm. Any hammer,
which it should be. I think it should be. Like, I don't think.
And it's one of the. If you ask me, it's one of the easiest weapons to dodge.
Depending on the character, yeah.
The faster the character, harder to dodge. The slower the character, like Taros, hammer and axe. Both of his moves, very easy to get around, but when they hit you, you're fucking hurt.
Yeah.
But
if you watch when a big tale right here, and this is just two average players talking about this, but if you watch the Winter Championships that happened a week or two ago, the top, the finalists in all of them were almost in 2v2 and 1v1 in Europe, South America, and America, around the world. They were almost all exclusively had some way, shape, or form axe and hammer in them. Which used to never happen. The game used to be the top players would always use people like Koji, Val, all the string, Scythe. all the string weapon players, characters or legends in the game. It would be people that were good at combos and strings. Hammer, axe, those aren't really known for combos or strings. Those are more pick your spot and hit. But this year, the final was Taros and Rayman.
Rayman.
Yeah.
Axe and gauntlets, and Taros is axe and hammer.
Yeah, which never happens. And this has been said, there's a lot of top players that have been saying, nah, this is fucked. So when, it's one thing when people like me, you, or most of the Brawlhalla community is but when pro players are yeah, nah, I'm done till they fix this. And it's been like this for 8 months.
Jesus.
And that's why a lot of them are just until you fix it, I'm taking a break. Because there's a few reasons. That was one of the big ones. Weapon spawns are apparently too random. This is one I actually disagree with. They are random. They're saying weapon spawns are happening on different maps where there's some spawn, when you're playing, sometimes the weapon will spawn, say the platform's right here, and the weapon will spawn right here and drop, but then sometimes it'll spawn way up here and drop down. Apparently that's a complaint for pro level, because it's too random. I was I kind of like that, because it makes it so you don't know exactly where it's going to go.
You shouldn't be able to map a board like that.
Yeah. That's my thought, too. I was that's kind of
Well, yes and no, though. I mean this in the nicest way possible, but the old arcade heroes, the people that set the 20 million point score in Pac-Man, they knew the path. They figured out the colors used to, hold on. So the way Pac-Man used to work, each character, when Pac-Man first came out, people were oh my God, this is crazy. They're all random. The ghost, this, that. They're not random. How? Hold on. How?
Well, no, I think any video game, it has to have some sort of not randomness.
Hold on.
There's some sort of pattern somewhere, especially the old one.
Here we go.
Old school games. Even new games. New games
change mode
now designed to react to you, so it just kind of learns from you. So that's still not random. It's still pattern based.
Chase mode, the ghost trying to find and capture Pac-Man. Basically, each one had a pattern.
Each colored ghost?
Each colored ghost, one would chase you specifically. One would circumvent around the board, and when you got close to it, it would then chase you. One would go completely 100% random, and one would only, like, during certain boards, move in certain patterns. That's how these guys figured it out. Mm-hmm. That's how they set these fucking infinitely high scores. Dig Dug, Centipede, Galaga, Asteroid, Pac-Man, all these games, they found these players, these arcade heroes, found these patterns.
How in relation to Brawlhalla?
I agree with. I disagree with you then in that instance. If you can get to that point where you can map it, that just shows you're that much next level player in that game. If you could play one board, especially then because the boards are always random, and I'm assuming
that when they do championships, it's a vote on it. It's basically like if we jump on today or maybe tomorrow, we'll go to a custom lobby and I'll show you how they actually vote on it. It's each one gets like a strike. There's a series of maps, and then one person will choose one map to basically X that one off, so you can't go there. Then the next person will choose this map to X that one off. So, and then they narrow it down to where they're going to go.
So you can, if you know your board, let's say you map 5 boards. You map 5 boards where you know the weapons are going to be dropped because you play those boards all the time religiously. That's called home field advantage.
It is, and that's why I don't like the idea. Because if the name of the game is to fight your opponent, you should be worried about your opponent, not the board. That's why what's that one board where it actually has the ceiling, and you can, if you're really good, you can combo, especially with a hammer or something, your opponent off the ground when they're in red, and they bounce off the ceiling. You can basically 0 to death them right on the thing. You know, it's the snowboard there.
Oh, with like the little...
It's got a smaller platform, but it has the rock ceiling on it too.
Yeah,
you can bounce them off the top. That's why they don't allow that, because it's such a disadvantage. If they're in orange or red, you can just bounce them off the top and bottom, and they can't do anything.
Yeah, down light sig, up heavy sig. You could throw them, up heavy sig throws them down.
Yeah.
Up light or down light sig throws them up.
So,
but that's just it. It's up to chance. If you strike the board that I wanted off, shit, I'm screwed now. There goes my home field advantage.
That's where I think chance lies. Or I think weapon spawns, if they were random, it all depends on if it spawns high, well, then it's high and you got to go for it. But you also leave yourself open for, like, if I go for that and he knows I'm going to go for it, I'm open for an attack. So I got to plan that carefully. Now, if you know exactly where weapon's going to go every time, I think that I don't like it just because it takes the randomness and like who's going to win this.
But if you know, let's say you know more than I do on a board. Well, let's say we both map out the board, random and all that shit. It's not random; it's patterned. I know where you're.
But I don't think they're talking about knowing exactly where. All right, this weapon's like when we do teams. Always the 2 outside parts of the board spawn at the same time. It's always like that. But when it's 1-on-1, it usually spawns in the middle, but sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low.
See, that's where
I'm like, what the fuck's the difference? Like, now, to me, I heard that, and I'm like, all right, now it's like a top player just going, like, fuck, man, it's random. It's part of it. Like,
I don't know, but that's where the sportsmanship comes from. How many times have you seen? You actually don't. You've watched me play a few 1v1s. I will sit there, jump back, let the opponent get the first weapon, give them the thumbs up.
I even do that in ranked, which is probably a bad move, but I do it. Well, I messaged you the other. I played Nyx. Like, I'm just gonna fuck around and play whoever on ranked, see what happens. Like, if I drop him, whatever. So I played with Nyx, would never use. I fucking won both times I used him. I won both matches. Like, that wasn't supposed to fucking happen.
Oh shit.
But yeah. So the weapon spawns. Strings are easily dodgeable, especially gauntlets, and that I don't know when they change that. I mean, we play this in like waves, so there's like an X amount of time we don't touch it, and then we'll get into it again. That was one of the things I noticed right off the bat. Wushang, who I use a lot for gauntlets, it used to be that string, the side
taught
leg,
me
you hit
the
him,
old
grab, throw, and then punch.
You could follow him down and keep grabbing.
Yeah, and you keep doing it.
You taught me that.
It's hard to do now. There's like such a dodge window now, which I'm like, well, that kind of eliminates string combos and especially strings. Like there is no strings. You get hit once, you can dodge out of it. As long as you didn't mash it before you got hit, you can easily get out of it. I'm like, well, what's the point of fucking doing strings then? Like you took that away. And that I agree with any of them. Is it easy to get out and turn it around? Sure. Especially if you use Lance like I do. Like I get hit once, dodge, swoop in from behind like I usually do, and boom, knock him off.
The fun part.
Yeah, that too. That's usually defensive, or I use that a lot as a bait.
No means no.
Yeah.
You're right. I don't want it anymore.
It's apparently 1.5 seconds when you hit the ground, and I guess Blue Mammoth is looking to. It's like 3 seconds in the air after you hit dodge. It's a 3-second cooldown. And if you're on the platform, it's 1.5 seconds. I guess they're looking to make it like 2.3 seconds no matter where you are to cooldown dodge, which I was like, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I can see that. That's fine.
Yeah, so apparently BMG in response to this, there's a bunch of other things too. They're looking to do some mechanic updates probably in the next couple months before the BCX championships, the big ones next fall, November. Weapon throws, dodge, axe, hammer, speed nerfs. They're going to do that. And what they're talking about, though, which got me excited, is one of the mechanics they're going to change is actually going to be a nerf to Lance. I was like, bring it on. I was like, I mean, I love when they nerfed Lance, or it's a buff, rather. When they nerfed Lance, that big nerf they did, because they did when I stepped away from it for like a whole season, like 4 or 5 months, it was during the summer. I just like, I'm done. They went in and they nerfed Lance. They added they slowed it down, but then on top of that same patch, they nerfed Scarlet. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
You got a double whammy.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Your primary
I was
main
like,
now.
all right, I'm done. But apparently now with this new thing they're talking about doing, it's actually going to buff Lance. And I'm like, bring it on. It's make it a little bit quicker because it took a long time, but I adjusted to what they did. I'm like, all right, we're getting back to where we were. But if they buff it, fuck, man. I was like, I am excited for that.
Oh, that's funny.
Last couple things
funny.
here. I'll get off Brawlhalla.
That's all right.
I'll switch this up. Bob Saget apparently had died from head trauma. Yeah. I don't know exactly how he got head trauma. I think the thing was he passed out and clearly cracked his head. But plus he also was COVID positive, and he had just gotten his booster a couple weeks or so before he died.
So it's COVID-related death.
Evidently, yeah. He had skull fractures in the back of his head and eye sockets, and there were no drugs or alcohol found in his system. That's the last I heard from it. Jeez Louise. Yeah, that's the last I heard. I'm going to skip right by that. I got nothing for that. No response to that. Fucking nothing.
Well, you remember the news article about Lindsay Lohan on the plane with him? I guess there was a few A-list celebrities on the plane, and at one point he walked into the area where Lindsay Lohan was. He goes, "Hey, do you guys have any cocaine?" And she looked at him and goes, "No, why was he?" "All right, have a good one." And he walked away. There was an article. Don't quote me on it, but I thought I remember reading an article about that. I'm like,
do you see
Bob Saget.
Do you see the thing that was floating around, like him and a bunch of other A, B, whatever listers in Hollywood and just media? The whole pedophile thing, like accusations, like Bob Saget was one of them.
He was being accused?
Yeah. Like
No
the whole,
shit.
I mean, we've covered before the whole pedophile ring, the trafficking ring in Hollywood, which has been covered before, and there's a lot of the stuff that comes out is true. There was that one that I brought up that was like 470 some people, and mostly in law, like judges and politics.
Oh, yeah.
That had come out and be like, there was this human trafficking ring and this massive amount of
Exposed a
people.
lot of pedophiles.
And then the two producers in CNN, Chris Cuomo's producer there, they got nabbed for it right after he. I think it was right after he got released.
Yep.
For defending his brother. There was another person that came out and accused Andrew Cuomo as for like sexual harassment. It was a state trooper. It was a couple of days ago. I just that popped up on my phone. I'm like, of course, we're still going to go down that road. So
he's not even in office anymore, and the guy's still trying to fondle on things.
So
stop touching it, or you're going to go blind. James, where'd you go?
And then the last thing that I have on the list anyway is Ivan Reitman dying, 75 years old.
Yeah.
The original producer or director, anyway, of Ghostbusters 1 and 2. And then he was on set for Aftermath, so we're closing this the same way we opened it with a Ghostbusters conversation.
Yes.
But he was on set during the Ghostbusters to Aftermath, so at least he probably got to see it. I'm sure, yeah.
He got to see
it.
Child
so he got to see his
come
son.
to fruition.
Yeah, he got to see his son
become a man.
Pick up where he left off, basically, and do the series right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was sad to see. To see Ivan Reitman go. And you know what sucks is Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, they're all up there in age. So
that's gonna be a sad.
Yeah, it's sad when any of them leave. But we always have all the movies. So
yes.
And the last one, again, watch it. Do yourself a favor. Watch it. It's awesome.
Oh.
Even if you're not a Ghostbuster fan, fuck you. But
no, really, I had to become a Ghostbuster fan. He tried to fuck me.
There was no try. It's like Yoda.
There is no try, only rape.
What?